Crosley is probably the most hated brand among the audiophile community because of this, the suitcase style player. People say all kind of bad things about it. Seems like it will chew up, you will destroy the records, it's bad for the hobby and such. But I think they are treated unfairly. Today, I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to examine this infamous suitcase player as a normal turntable and see how it does. Then, I'll give you the true reason why you should or should not start your vinyl journey with it. I'm Jojo, a designer and audiophile. Welcome to my channel. Every turntable, despite the styling and function, is composed of several parts. The base, the platter, the motor, the tonearm, and cartridge, the output RCA jack or cable, the control and power supply. Both the LP120 USB here and Crosley suitcase player has those. But the differences in the detail are what sets things apart. Let's take a look at each component one by one. One of the most important things about a record player is stability. The AT120 USB has 4 isolation feet and a hefty base to minimize the vibrations and to maintain the level. The Crosley, however, does not have that because of the suitcase styling. Crosley shift the function of stabilizing the player into the player unit itself by using springs. The base of the suitcase player contains the speaker units and other electronic components. And it's an obvious compromise because of the mobility and the look. Next is the platter. The AT120 USB has a full-size metal cast platter that provides records with full support. On the other hand, the Crosley has a smaller platter using good old plastic. When playing, the record will overhang the platter, make it less steady. The Crosley using cheap material that has less support for the records, so not ideal. Once again, a compromise for the look and size. Onto the motor. AT120 USB is a direct drive design. It means the motor is directly connected to the platter. The motor can get the platter up to speed faster and more accurately. But the vibration and noise of the motor can get into the playback easier. For the Crosley, it used a belt drive system instead. Theoretically, a belt drive system can prevent the vibration and noise of the motor from getting into the playback, which it still doesn't do too well. And it's also cheaper to make. But without proper tuning, the speed can far from perfect, and the belt wears out through time. Here, we can see the comparison. Once again, the suitcase player performs poorly on the speed consistency. Tonearm. The tonearm is a very important part for record players. A good tonearm is lightweight, steady, smooth, and allow user to fine-tune different aspects for accurate playback. It determines what kind of cartridge can be used on the player as well. The balance between the left and right channel and how well the cartridge positions itself in the grooves. It all depends on the tonearm. Although LP120 USB is considered entry-level in the spectrum, it has all the tuning function you need to achieve the perfect playback. From tracking force, tracking angle, azimuth, anti-skating to the changeable head show, the LP120 has it all. But the suitcase player? Nada. Absolutely nothing you can change or fine-tune. This means we are relying on the preset Crosley design. Let's examine it one by one. First is the tracking force. On LP120 USB, we can change the tracking force or VTF by tuning the counterweight. Depends on the cartridge, the VTF will be set around 1.8 grams to 2.5 grams. The VTF for the suitcase player is set above 5 grams for its cartridge, which is above my scale's maximum capacity and at least 2.5 times heavier than a normal cartridge. This does not mean it will damage the records. The next test is this. This is a protractor for fine-tuning a turntable. The 2 points here are the point where the cartridge should be perfectly tangent to the groove. We call them A point and B point. Take a look at the result of the Crosley. Guess what? The suitcase player performs poorly. This means two things. One, because the Crosley has a shorter tonearm, its A-B point are different from traditional turntable. But a shorter tonearm also means the tracking angle error will be greater than a normal turntable. Greater tracking error means the left channel and the right channel will be more imbalanced. Second, because we cannot fine-tune the angle, there's no way we can improve the performance of it. On the protractor, there is another test. Anti-skating. Anti-skating is for the tonearm to balance the force pulling the arm toward the spindle so the stylus can stay at the center of the groove. This helps the left and right channels stay equal, achieving better performance. Take a look at the testing. The one thing that Crosley doing okay is the VTA, or vertical tracking angle. It's not too far from level. Other than that, it's pretty bad. Combining the tonearm testing result, we can bet that the suitcase player is easier to skip when the stylus flying out of the groove. Unwanted accidents can happen to the records and the player itself. Although during my time of testing it, it didn't happen. Last is the cartridge. Cartridge is actually the soul of a turntable. Upgrading the cartridge can improve the performance greatly. It can make an entry-level table like LP120 reaching the high-end sound. However, the Crosley using the universal cartridge with the ceramic tips or stylus. We don't really have many options for upgrading. Straight and simple. And the sound, god-awful. The static sound is mad loud when playing. The background noise is raised, no resolution or any virtue in the music I mentioned before. I even doubted that the AI can even recognize the song when playing on the suitcase player. It's the opposite of hi-fi, it's lo-fi. And it's surprisingly charming for old records. I threw some cheapo oldies on it and the lo-fi sound did put some smile on my face. You can also hook it up to a pair of power speakers to bypass the awful built-in speakers to get better sound quality and save your ear from suffering. Remember that Billie Eilish glow-in-the-dark vinyl I tested? If you're playing on this, you will hear all the static noise throughout the album.
They just keep doing nothing.
The not too bad result I got was actually credited to the LP120 USB. It has better phono stage and is just better. With all that being said, what do I think of the suitcase player? Surprisingly, I don't hate them. It is mad awful on all technical aspects besides the madly love the look. But it's the thing that draws more people into this hobby. It is the Lomo of audio equipment. It fails all the tests for being a good product, but it has its unique charm. I myself is a new generation vinyl record fan. I started with a suitcase player that is higher grade than this one, but still Crosley, and it's bad. But it's okay. The true reason why I don't want people to start with the suitcase player is that it wastes the potential of vinyl records as a media. It's not because it can damage your records or how bad the construction is. It is the bad playback performance that gives you a wrong perception. Imagine this. You spend 3 times the price of a CD, go through the ritual experience of putting the needle on the spinning records, wanting to experience the fun of making this old tag to sing again. But what you get is the bad statics noise and low quality sound that makes your favorite artist sound nothing like themselves. Were you willing to explore more of this hobby? I always remember the first time when I switched from the suitcase player to LP120. It sounds so clean, so musical, that me and my wife were just look at each other and said like, what were we listening to before? And that's when I was really hooked by this hobby. I want to know more about being a vinyl junkie, being an audiophile, and all that good stuff. Besides all that, I don't like the community looking down on people who choose the suitcase player. The snobby and elitist mindset is what gives audiophiles a bad name and drives the market to hell. An audiophile should be a person who is passionate about music, helping others get into the hobby, not knocking others down. The popularity of the suitcase player is what brings us the renaissance of vinyl. We should appreciate things like this exist, which raise a new generation of vinyl lovers. And we should show them the potential of the vinyl records, not driving them away. It's that simple. And if you like that lo-fi sound, getting giggles and fun out of it, or you simply admire the look, go pick up a good-looking suitcase player and enjoy. But remember, with a proper setup, your record can sound way better. And they're a cool-looking turntable too. Having two systems can never hurt. Coming next, I will test several cheap and cool-looking turntables. Let's see if they are the hidden gem for people who are on the fence about this hobby but don't want to break the bank. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.